My father was hit by a shell in the forehead and left for dead, and found to be still alive and woke up a fortnight later with a terrible head injury. He was traumatised by the war, but what he remembered was the happy things about it. He was a farmer. He got on well with the French farmers, and those sort of things he spoke about. We found what happened to him because he'd just been newly promoted and went to Cambridge to get his commission, and ran cross-country with them and sang in King's College Choir and loved that. Then he went back as a young lieutenant, and there's 40 miles of heavy artillery firing, and one of his men got hit. He bent down to put a dressing on him, and he got hit too. So it was this chap who was able to see what happened to him later on. He'd been carted off with the bodies, found to be still alive. Yeah. That was in Victoria, in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So you had to be very careful. You had to change your clothes all the time, walk on duckboards all the time. And if anything went wrong, it was a great explosion, so everything had to be cleared out again. Yeah. So we were filling bullets. And that was before, it was as soon as the war broke out, I did that. And joined this Air Corps as soon as it was available. We expect to be bombed any minute, of course, one does. And realise it's still quite a distance away, but because of my father being in the army, I had to try to enlist straight away. So it was just this Women's Air Corps formed, and they gave us these grey dust coats, and we marched around there and practiced getting into what do you call it, ferret holes. The interesting people that we met, the Victorian ones, were so different from when we moved up to Queensland. Were quite different people indeed. Oh, great big rangy people out from the country. It's like a different breed they looked too. So that was interesting, seeing all these people that one hadn't met before. Quite different from the Victorian ones. We got the feeling that we were never going to get home again. It seemed to be going endlessly. Yeah, we were all so fed up with it. And people like my Bill, you know, being in the Navy for 30 years, he'd been getting bombed and shot at right from day one, so he was very lucky to get through. Yeah. It seemed like the war was never going to end. We were never going to get home again. So once it was over, my husband Bill was permanent Navy, so it was always difficult trying to see him too. My husband was at sea most of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got married by special license because our leave just happened to come at the same time. So then we had 2 days together. Then I didn't see him for nearly a year afterwards. He went back up north, and I went back to wherever I was, Evans Head. Well, one time I was at Evans Head, and he was going on draft from Brisbane to Sydney. He decided to jump ship. He got a cab, came all the way out to Evans Head, and I'm behind bars there. And we're talking through the bars, and he's got a cab there. weren't allowed to get out to meet him. And then he had to get the cab right back there, and he was AWL for a day. Took a bit of explaining when he got back to Sydney, but that's the best we could do.
Well, it sounds like a reasonable excuse to go AWL.
It's a heck of a long way to jump out from the train from Brisbane to Sydney and get the cab right out to Evans Head, and then
I think that's true
talk
love.
to his mate behind bars. Bill was at sea right from the start. He did HMAS Stewart, and then Vendetta was supposed to be having a refit in Melbourne. So, and when he got to Bombay, a fortune teller said, "You think you're going home?" He said, "But you're not. But you'll get there eventually, and you'll marry the girl that you want to." And he thought, oh. When they got to sea, they got a message to say that the refit was going to be done in Singapore, and 25 of them were going there. The others went on another ship and went off. 25 of them went with Vendette to Singapore, and they were there with no engines when the Japs came in the other side of the island. So they had to be towed out, just got out of the dock in time when the Japs bombed it.
Wow.
So then they had to be hidden and towed up various rivers. and finally he rang from Perth and said, "Hey, we're nearly home." And then the tow rope broke 27 times in the bight. So by the time I saw him, he weighed about as much as that. So, wasn't it strange though that chap, fortune teller, knew, and the skipper didn't know? He hadn't got instructions until he got to sea again. Wasn't that odd?
So,
We got married by special license because we had a relation who was a minister, and we just happened to have our leave at the same time. We danced all night in Martin Place, remember that? I remember hearing about the bomb dropping, and what could it possibly be? Yeah, it's big enough to stop the war. It must be an extraordinary thing. Actually, we thought it might just actually go off and keep on going all around the world. Please, it hadn't really. We didn't know anything about it. Well, it was announced. The war's over, the Japanese have got in. Oh, hallelujah. It was just wonderful. We thought we were never going to get home. Yeah. It seemed to be just such an endless period that we're never going to live a normal life again. It just, how are we ever going to finish this off? My father was very keen on those because he took his legacy duties very seriously then. He was in a country town, so he'd go in every Thursday, make sure that the widows had sufficient to eat. He'd chop the wood for them, he'd do the gardening for them. He took those situations very, very carefully indeed. Yeah. So yes, every Anzac Day we were there. Well, I don't think you'll like what I'm going to say about this. I feel that we shouldn't be celebrating a defeat. We're the only country that does that. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. The Turks were defending their own land. We were in impossible position down below. A great number of French and English died there too. Yeah, so we're the only ones I know always celebrating a defeat. Everyone else celebrates a victory. We should be celebrating that in the Second World War we were greatly in danger, and we were saved. That's much more important. So no, just Anzac Day goes on, and to me, I know it's a holy thing, but not to me. Yeah, but I'm there all the time. What do I think about it? And every day here when we come, those people aren't forgotten. You know, you see those wasted lives. It's a scandalous thing. All this money we spend on killing each other is just, we've failed as a species. It causes me great distress. Yet the best we can do is think out bigger ways of killing each other. Wasted lovely young lives. Never forget them.